Hey guys, welcome to my historical fiction TBR. I thought it might be interesting to show you guys, tell you guys the books that are on my unending TBR, honestly, but to break it down by genre. And if you've been around for the last few weeks, you'll know that I've kind of just been having a hankering for historical fiction, which has never happened to me before. But I'm starting to realize the things that I enjoy in historical fiction and the things that I don't enjoy so much. And I think that there have been a lot of good recommendations from the little synopsis that I've read about these books. I'm very excited about them. There's a couple books coming out later this year that I'm excited about. So my plan here is to share the books with you. I mostly have them arranged by the general decade that they are written from, the point in history they're from. And then but before we get into that, I'm going to talk about a few that are on my TBR that I don't own, because if I don't do that, I'm not going to remember, and I'm not going to remember where to show them exactly in the piles. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense. We'll go over those ones first, and then we'll go over them kind of in order. If you guys have ideas on more historical fiction that you think I would enjoy based on kind of what I have to show, leave them in the comments. My plan is also to create a Goodreads list with all of these books that I'm sharing today, and you guys can go in and vote for them if I can get it figured out properly. And my plan is to kind of read the ones that are voted up first, that get the most votes, to read those, prioritize those first. So in my July TBR, I'm planning on pulling one or two of the top voted books and pulling them onto my TBR for the month. So we're gonna go over the books I don't own right now, otherwise I will forget about them. And this first one, it's on my TBR list on Goodreads, and I just put it on there recently, and I don't remember where I heard about it. It's called The Orchard House, and this one has 3 different timelines. It has 2001, we've got Taylor, who's been abandoned by her family and is determined not to mess up her chance at joining the home of her best friend. And then 1865, we have, Louisa May Alcott is off traveling the world. Joanna accepts a job tending Louisa's aging parents in their home in Concord. That's interesting. And then 2019, after receiving news of Lorraine Bennett's cancer diagnosis, Taylor knows she must return home to see her adoptive mother again. So I don't know if I can do 3 timelines, honestly, but I'm very curious. It's got an adoptive timeline, and I'm just very curious about it. So that one's on my list. The next one is one, actually it's not published quite yet, I think September. But it was totally the title that captured my attention. It's Because I Could Not Stop for Death. And that is a line in an Emily Dickinson poem. And she is my favorite poet. And also I love the cover of this. So I guess this is historical mystery as well. I was trying not to do historical mystery so much in here because I want to do a mystery list. But this one, whatever, it's probably going to be on both of my lists then. The little blurb here says, Emily Dickinson and her housemaid, Willa Noble, realized there is nothing poetic about murder. And this is a new series. So it's January 1855. Willa Noble knew it was bad luck when it was pouring rain on the day of her ever-important job interview at the Dickinson home in Amherst. And I don't really want to read more, but because of the title, because of the cover, and it's also a mystery, I'm totally there for that one. This next one here is Shadowed Loyalty. My library, I saw, it doesn't have it. I think it just came out in May. Yeah, it was published at the beginning of May, so I requested that they purchase it, and it looks like they're going to. So this one caught my attention because it is, I believe also this one is Christian fiction. Sabrina never questioned her life as the daughter of Chicago's leading mob boss. Yeah, until bullets tear apart her world and the man she thought she loved turned out to be an undercover prohibition agent. And I'm there for like the mob boss stuff, and the cover of this, it has those, well, what year would this be? Like whatever decade. I love the look. And anything that is not World War II historical fiction really catches my attention, but like throw in mobs, I'm so there. Not for real though, just for books. Then I've got The Light We Left Behind. This is Tessa Harris. And once again, I don't know why this one popped out at me, but it's 1944. It says, when psychologist Maddie Gresham is sent a mysterious message telling her to report to Trent Park Mansion, she wonders how she will be helping the war effort from a stately home. She soon finds captured Nazi generals are being detained at the house. Ooh. So it's got like espionage vibes here, maybe something like that. And the next one does actually. It's The London House by Catherine Ray. And this one has really good ratings from the people that I follow on Goodreads. So this is Uncovering a Dark Family Secret. It says one woman through the history of Britain's World War II spy network and glamorous 1930s Paris to save her family's reputation. So I'm there for that. And also anything that's set in London catches my attention. So I've got those books on my TBR. And then I have some other books. Now we're going to start the older-ish one. This one is, I think, set in the Great Chicago Fire. So this one starts in 1871. So this, I think, is also Christian historical fiction. It is about a family who, I think they have a bookstore. Yes, they have a bookshop, and the Great Fire sweeps through Chicago's business district. And this is a series that I've actually really heard really good things about, and it's on my cart because it's one of the fiction books I want to read this year, and I still haven't read it. I almost picked it up for June. It might have to end up on July's list, we'll see. And then moving on, still in that Victorian period, I have everything by Joanna Davidson Politano. I still don't know how to say her last name properly. I forgot to look it up again. So I have 3 books here. I have Finding Lady Enderley, which this is the one I have to wait for a while because I just read Lady Jane Disappears, and those titles are too similar. But this one is, Raina is a rag woman in London's East End when a handsome stranger appears in a dank alley, offering her a glittering smile and a chance for adventure. He has a position for her, one that will take her away from her hard-scrambled life and give her a chance to be a lady. Okay. Then we've got A Rumored Fortune. This one is Tressa's father kept his vast fortune hidden somewhere on his estate in the south of England and died suddenly, without telling anyone where he concealed it. We've got A Midnight Dance. At the core, all theatre romances are tragedies. Ella knows this. Still, she cannot help but hope her own story may turn out different than most, and certainly different than the tragic story of the ghost of Craven Street Theatre. That paragraph has Jamie Jo Wright vibes to me. Sounds interesting. And then I've also got The Love Note. Focused on a career in medicine and not on romance, Willa is thrown slightly off course during the summer of 1865 when she discovers a never-opened love letter in the crack of her old writing desk. Having just read some medical historical fiction books from this time period, that one sounds really interesting. So I think those are like the 1800s ones that I have. And then I've got 3 books by Amanda Dykes, and hers I think are all World War I and II. I could be wrong. This one, Yours is the Night, is the trenches of the Great War are a shadowed place. We've got Platoon Sergeant Matthew Pettigrew arrived there. So that's one of mine. I'm not going to really read all of it. Set the Stars Alight. This one is in an aged brick cottage in London. The magic of the past comes alive each night for the family of a humble watchmaker. In her father's fireside stories, Lucy's fascination with the high seas begins, leading her to devote her life's work to discovering the whereabouts of a legendary lost ship. Oh, interesting. So, another one of hers. I've never read any of her books, but I went and bought 3 of them in, I think it was my last haul or my second last haul. I shared a bunch of historical fiction books. And this one is in the wake of World War II. A grieving fisherman submits a poem to a local newspaper. A rallying cry for hope, purpose, and rocks. So that leads me into more historical fiction that is set in World War II. That is the bulk of what I have here. Although I was trying to make sure to not just have World War II, because like when I read different books, I like to read different genres. I don't like to read 2 historical fiction back to back. I also don't like to read 2 World War II back to back. There needs to be space. So I've got 2 Susan Meisner books next. This one is The Bridge Across the Ocean. This one is 1946. World War II is over, but there's some kind of remnants from it. And then The Last Year of the War. I'm assuming this one it's in 1943, when Elise is a typical 14-year-old girl from Iowa, aware of the war but distanced from its reach. Then her father, a legal US resident for nearly 2 decades, is suddenly arrested on suspicion of being a Nazi sympathizer. So those are both related to World War II. And then this is my World War II stack that is not all by the same author. So the first one, I wasn't really sure where to put this, is more of the Maisie Dobbs series. And I feel like they're very much split between being historical fiction, I mean I've read one so far, and historical mystery. So it's probably gonna be on both of my TBRs here, my historical fiction one and my mystery one. So I just really loved book 1 and hope to get to book 2 really soon. Then I also shared about this one in my last book haul. This is Prague Counterpoint. You'll find quite a few of these were in my last book haul actually. This one, the first book in the series, starts out pre-World War II, and I believe book 2 here we are like fully in World War II. I'm not really sure. The prologue is in 1948, and I don't know where the book actually kicks off. It doesn't say the year, but I really enjoyed book 1. Then this is the one that I shared recently that everybody seems to love. This is The Last Bookshop in London, and it's inspired by the true World War II history of the few bookshops to survive the Blitz. Yeah, so bookshop, London, I'm there. I've heard such great things. I'm pretty sure if I had to guess that my guess would be that this one would get the most votes, and I'll probably be reading it really soon. Then I mentioned this incorrectly in my last book haul when I shared this book, The Paris Library. I said I got this at a secondhand store, and that is not true. I remembered afterwards. I got this one in a little free library. And so I haven't actually looked this one up. I don't know if this one has necessarily really great ratings on Goodreads. I'm trying to make sure that the books that I read, that I buy, have decent ratings so that I can kind of set myself up for success. I'm gonna look it up right now. But when it's a little free library book, it's not that big of a deal. So this one has 4.08 star ratings with 75,000 ratings. So that is really good. And once again, we've got like We're With Books, so I'm curious about that one. This one is also dual timeline. I find most historical fiction are. And then we've got Lynn Austen, While We're Far Apart. This one was when? It's starts with 1943. This one doesn't have much of a blurb on the back, so I'm kind of going into this one fairly blind, and I'm okay with that. That book just made me remember, I have another Lynn Austen. This one looks like it's set in 1931. I don't know if it flips to other timelines or not, and I know nothing about it, but it's called Hidden Places. So I also have this one. Then I bought one Diane Chamberlain book. I know she has tons out there. I got The Stolen Marriage, and this one is set in 1944. She's pregnant, alone, and riddled with guilt. 23-year-old Tess abruptly gives up her budding career as a nurse and ends her engagement to the lover of her life, unable to live a lie. So she has written quite a few books, I think all or most historical fiction, and they seem to all get really good reviews. So I'm excited to try one of hers for the first time. Then I did read my first Sarah Sundin book last month, I think, and I want to read another one. So this one is When Twilight Breaks, and it's set in Munich in 1938. Evelyn Brand is an American foreign correspondent determined to prove her worth in a male-dominated profession and to expose the growing tyranny in Nazi Germany. To do so, she must walk a thin line. If she offends the government, she could be expelled from the country or worse. So I quite enjoyed the first one I read of hers. I think I gave it 4 stars. So I want to try more of her books. And then I've got The Riviera House. I don't remember this one. I know it has really good ratings. It says A Paris Spy, A Secret Code, A Daring Plan. That's pretty much good enough for me. Paris 1939. Oh, the Nazis think she can't understand German, and they're wrong. So that one, and then, oh yes, this is another one that people love. The Book of Lost Names, and this has to do, I think, with the Book of Names that I believe were the Jewish children that were sent away from their parents, hidden, and the names that they were given to hide them? I'm not really sure. I don't read the entire synopsis, so I kind of go into it blind, and sometimes that works out really well for me and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, now my last stack here, I've got 4 books that are mostly post World War II. I think some of them have other timelines as well. This one is based on true events. It's called The Children's Train, a heartbreaking tale of family, hope, and survival in southern Italy post World War II. And I have not read much set in Italy, which is interesting because for the longest time, that was the one place that I would always say that I wanted to move to. And so this one says Naples 1946. Together with hundreds of impoverished children, 7-year-old Amerigo is sent to northern Italy to live temporarily with foster families. So yeah, for someone that wanted to move to Italy for so long, still never traveled there and still not really read any books set there. So that will be an interesting one, I think. Then we've got Under the Bayou Moon. This one is 1949. When Ellie accepts a teaching job in a tiny Louisiana town deep in the Bayou country in 1949, she knows her life will change, but she could never imagine just how dramatically. I really love the cover of this one. Then we've got We Hope for Better Things. This one was set... Oh yeah, okay, so it says take an emotional journey through time from the volatile streets of 1960s Detroit to Michigan's Underground Railroad during the Civil War to uncover the past, confront the seeds of hatred, and discover where love goes to hide. So this one actually goes all over the place in history, so that will be interesting. And I haven't really read much. We got 1963. Oh, there's some like text messages in here. We've got present day, 1965. So 1873. There's one from farther back. That one will be interesting as well. So we got 3 timelines going there. We'll see if my brain can handle all this. And then the last one, I believe, is A Stories That Bind Us. So I've heard really good things by this author, or about this author. This one was set in 1960s small town Michigan. It's Betty Sweet never experienced to be a widow at 40 with so much life still in front of her. She tries to figure out what's next, never imagining what God has in mind. And her estranged sister returns to town. Betty finds herself taking care of a 5-year-old nephew she never knew she had. So there you have it. That's a fairly large historical fiction TBR, and that's mostly like books that I just acquired in the last little while. So assuming I can make the list work either on Goodreads, if it can't work there, maybe I'll make a list somewhere else. Follow the link in my description and you can vote for one or maybe more books that you want me to read first, prioritize first, and then the ones that get the most votes are going to be the ones that I start reading first. So let me know if you have any historical fiction recommendations, and thanks so much for being here, guys.